Guten Tag, die Besatzung der Raumschiff Eberswalde. Hello, I'm Donna Murphy here in New York City, and I hope that that pronunciation was close enough in German in greeting you. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. I studied for 2 years in high school, which was a long time ago. I had the pleasure of playing Anij in Star Trek Insurrection, and I was so happy to hear from your wonderful group in Deutschland, asking me to talk a bit about my experience working on the film. So I auditioned for the film while I was out in Los Angeles working on another film, and I live here in New York, and I lived in New York at that time, but was getting a fair amount of work out on the West Coast, so it kept me out there for periods of time. I loved this character from the beginning. There was something about her center and her sense of fairness, her sense of what was just, that moved me. And when I was cast, I was thrilled, and I love to do research for all the work that I do. And so in thinking about Anij, I decided that I would like to study meditation and yoga with somebody who is an expert in the field. And I did some research, and I met with some people and decided upon a wonderful woman whose name is escaping me right now, which is too bad because she was wonderful and she deserves some credit here. But I'm honoring her in my heart. So I worked with her several times a week, and it was so helpful in really arriving at what I believed this woman's core to be. It even helped me physically with how I carried myself, and not being a reactive person. That's not to mean she wasn't active, but she was a very mindful person, and I learned really what it meant to be truly mindful. And in extreme circumstances and circumstances of danger or threat, to be able to use that mindfulness to not go to a panic place of making bad decisions. Anyway, what else can I tell you? This group of actors and collaborators were so welcoming to me. So many of them came from the theater. Patrick Stewart, of course, Brent Spiner, Marina, who played Deanna Troi, came from the British theater. We'd even played the same role in a play, Privates on Parade, a wonderful play, and I played it here in the States, and she had played it in London. Our wonderful Jonathan Frakes, who was our director, and also Lieutenant Riker. The whole company was just really terrific, and there were more show tunes sung on that set than I think any place else that I've worked in film or television. It was pretty funny. I loved the story that was being told. I thought that there was real humanity in it. I know that some complained that it wasn't as action-packed as they would have preferred this Star Trek film to have been, but it was what it was. I never questioned it. I was handed a script. There were some changes that came along the way, but I think the most, the evolution of the script and the storytelling happened before I came on board, the true changes. When I was hired, I knew that I needed to do a good amount of research and really immerse myself in this world. Actually, before I was hired, when I auditioned, while I was someone who certainly had watched some of Star Trek in its different incarnations, I wasn't somebody who was deeply familiar with it. It had been a while, so I watched several episodes of Next Generation and First Contact. So I could really familiarize myself with this particular group of Star Trek storytellers, and read early Gene Roddenberry so that I could really get a sense of what this all evolved from. And so working on it, we got to work in beautiful, beautiful locations. It was my first time working on an action film like that, so the things that were going to involve CGI that we had to use our imaginations for, I love that, because to me that's the training I come from in the theater, using your imagination, not having everything right there in a realistic way, but imagining things that are happening and responding to them, whether it's a cave crashing down on you, or a hummingbird, and stopping time, or being fired at by the Sona. All of those things were fascinating to me and a lot of fun to get to work on as an actress. What else do I want to share with you? Patrick Stewart is a truly charming and engaging man, and I loved getting to work with him, and I enjoyed there being this, you know, this unusual connection of a kind of love fascination with these two, mutual fascination and interest with these two characters. I think they backed off of the love story in what they edited, and that was their decision to make. I'll never know exactly why. But we had a great time working on it together. I loved working with Jonathan as a director. He gave us lots of freedom. He created a beautiful, fun environment to work in. We worked very long hours, and we had to travel to locations, and you know, I did not have long hair and makeup in some of the ways that people like Michael Dorn did, or F. Murray Abraham did. But you know what, when I was cast, I was very tan, and from another film that I had done, it had been asked to tan for before I realized, dear God, that's really not a good thing, and you need to put some body makeup on me. So I was hired, and they said, we love your golden glow, and I said, well, that's not really me, except from the inside. So I said, you're going to have to do body makeup. And so I had a lot of makeup on. It just was to make me have that sort of bronze color. And I had shorter hair, so we had a hair piece that we worked into my own front hair. And we lightened my hair. This is closer to my natural color. Maybe a little darker, actually. What else can I tell you before time runs out? What do I think of the film now? You know, I don't watch my own work much beyond a first or second viewing. That's enough for me of seeing myself. I would be curious to see it now. I think there were so many themes that were really, that were and are relevant, you know, about the rights of individuals to be on their land, in their space, and the irony that it was their own race, you know, who had desired technology in their lives that took them off the planet, and now they wanted to be back. My time's running out. Love and light, and hope to meet you all sometime.